much for that beautiful introduction, Anaya. Yes, my name is Vanita, and thank you so much for joining us today. Happy New Year! I don't know about you, but I'm always glad to start a new year because I feel like it's an opportunity to just try new things and press the reset button. So I know that one of the things that I found that I missed and I discovered that I loved a lot in 2020 is that I love dips. It's probably not what you're expecting that I would say, but I really love to eat dips because they're wonderful to snack on. And during the day, I would find myself, since we were home so much, I would find myself wanting to go in the fridge and just find something, things like hummus and guac and salsa and, all sorts of kind of dips that, are really wonderful to just eat with a corn chip, a plantain chip, or celery or carrots. Anaya, what's your favorite kind of dip?
Salsa.
Salsa. Yes. And so one of the things that I like to do is just make dips out of different ingredients and have them in the fridge. You might have seen one of our previous videos, which I will repost, that we are doing, that we did, which was based on a pesto. And even you can have a pesto as a dip. There are so many things that you can use.
You can?
You can. That's right, you can.
New thing to learn every day with this, Mom.
Aw, thank you. And so today we're going to be making a dip out of butternut squash. You can use any sort of squash for this dip. I really like butternut squash because it's sweet, it's creamy, it blends well. But you can also use a whole variety of squashes. There's kabocha squash, one of my favorite kinds of squashes. It has a little bit more texture to it and, it can be a little drier, so you just add a little bit more liquid. But you basically want to use any kind of squash you can find. There are sugar pumpkins. Interestingly enough, butternut squash is actually sweeter than a sugar pumpkin, and you find that with a lot of pumpkin pies, they're actually using butternut squash, which is why I like to use it in a dip. Another one of my favorite pumpkins here, I call this a cheese pumpkin because it kind of looks like a cheddar wheel. And again, just use whatever you can. Now, the only kind of squash that you don't want to use are things like spaghetti squash, which are great for things like noodles. But yes, you can use almost any kind of squash for this dish. You can substitute it out, play. Is there something you wanted to say, Anaya?
I was just gonna ask you, how is the cheese pumpkin and the butternut squash different? They look exactly the same except for shape.
Yeah, they're actually very similar. You're right. They have similar color, but they have different shape, and they have different nutritional qualities to them, and they also have different flavor profile. This one's a little more savory. This one's a little bit more sweet. Now, it brings up a good point. Thanks for saying that, Anaya, because, squash is really good for our bodies. It's really wonderful to eat seasonally, and winter squashes are available right now. If you can't find them, whole, some places don't sell them whole. I find that surprising, but they don't. You might find them boxed, and you can use this however you find the squash. Now, squash is really good for our gut bacteria. It's good for our skin. It's good for our eyesight. It's good for diabetes. It's good for heart health. And when I say it's good for diabetes, I mean that it has a low glycemic index. It's going to lower our sugar, and it's going to provide us with the nutrition that we need. And being a whole plant food, we're using the whole food itself. We're going to be able to digest it slower and get that sweetness and that beauty out of it without having to ramp up our bodies for the sugar. All right, shall we get into making this? So in this dip, we're making a vegan dip. We're going to be using the squash. We're going to be using cashews, which I have soaked here. You need to soak them for, a couple of hours. If you have forgotten to soak your cashews, I suggest heating up some water, bringing it to a boil, and soaking them for at least 20 minutes. But it's nice when they've soaked for a period of time. We're going to be using various spices and things like nutritional yeast, and it's a very, very simple dip. Okay, so the first thing that we do is we're gonna cut the butternut squash. Now you just cut off the ends. Yeah, when we get to cutting the lemon, I'll let you do that because we actually already have this done. But you're gonna cut off the ends and then you're gonna slice it in half and you end up with, half the butternut squash. You just simply use a spoon to, take out the seeds, and then you are ready to bake this. Now we want to bake it so that we get all the sweetness out and we soften it up, right? Now with the seeds, don't throw away the seeds. Can you tell me something that we like to do with seeds, Anaya?
She likes making seeds.
Yeah, we can make, butternut squash is really good to have, to toast and put with salt and various spices and eat them. They're like pumpkin seeds and they actually are easier to chew. And again, they have a different nutritional profile, so you might as well do it. What else do we do in the garden with these seeds? We save them and we
grow them. You want to get these big fabric buckets, and if you want to grow big butternut squashes and it doesn't, you only have to get one and then grow them, so it doesn't cost any money.
That's right. So we tried, this squash was bought, and we have a couple growing outside. But one of the beautiful things is, whether it's store-bought, make sure it's organic, because we don't want to be getting any of the unnecessary things. But you can save these seeds. You wash them, wash off all the fiber from it, lay them out, dry them out, and then you can just stick them into a jar. And you have seeds now to plant in the spring. These are melon seeds. Almost anything that we eat, when we see the seeds, we try to save them, and then we can grow them in our garden. And then that way you spend less at the store and you actually are more in touch with your food. It's really important to play in the dirt, isn't it, Anaya? It's wonderful for our bodies, for our immune system, for our gut bacteria when we play in the dirt. So basically, once this squash has been cut, and what you're going to do is just rub some oil on the outside. I use coconut oil. Feel free to use any oil that you like. And you can see that here's a kabocha squash and here's a butternut squash. So basically, all I've done is put this face down into a baking tray. And the outside is coated with oil, and you can just put this in the oven at 350 degrees. Takes about 45 minutes. All I do to make sure that it is cooked is put a knife through it, and if it's soft, if I can get a knife in, butter knives are the best to see how cooked it is, then it's done. And we'll put this away over here. Let's use the butternut squash. Now, if you are only able to find cube squash in the grocery store, what I suggest you do is the same thing. Just put some oil on it, put it in a baking dish, and cover the baking dish, though, with a foil or something so that it doesn't burn too quickly. So cover it for about half the amount of time that you're baking it, remove the foil, and then let it cook through. And again, just make sure that, the pieces are cooked through, because the softer it is, the better it will be. So shall we start putting this all into the mixer? Okay, so I just am using a spoon, and I am going to just scoop out all of this butternut squash into this. Yeah, we'll wait to turn it on until we have everything in.
Turn it on?
You can turn it on. You can be the mixer. All right, so as you see, just scoop it all out. If you get a little skin in there, it's really not that big a deal. It will blend in. Now, I know that, people are very keen on peeling and slicing away all skins. Skins actually have a lot of nutrition. And again, this is why it's important to buy organic, because you want to make sure you don't have any of the pesticides on it. These things do not wash away with water. And so, just being as clean as you can with the food that you have, the options that you have. Now, not everybody has that option, but if you have that option, I encourage you highly, highly to be conscious of it. The more that we shop organic in the stores, the more that they're going to really take notice and fill their stores with organic produce. And like I said, then if you have the ability, you can save the seeds and grow them and then start growing your own produce. Sovereignty. Yeah, I love that. Okay, so we have the squash in there. Soap nuts. Actually, let's give this little bit a blend here, just to blend it up a little bit. And I'm going to go drain these nuts. So I have them soaking in water. Now you can actually save this water if you like, because this can go to be used to make the dip a little bit more liquidy. But I'm going to drain this because I'm going to use broth, and we'll talk about that in a sec. Go ahead, start that up. Looking. All right, let's go ahead and turn it off. We're gonna add in the nuts. So what I have here are 3/4 cup about. It really, it's all that, it doesn't really matter exactly how much. About 3/4 cup to a cup. What it does is it provides the fat. It makes it creamy. Now, if you can't eat cashews, feel free to try things like, macadamia nuts, also really fatty. With the nut that you want to make sure that it gets creamy and fatty so that it's nice and it blends well. The other things that we're going to add in here are nutritional yeast. Now, nutritional yeast is really good to, give it a nutty, robust flavor, right? We wanted to really have a depth of flavor, and for a vegan dip, this is how we do it. Now you add about 2 to 3 tablespoons. Like I said, it has a cheesy flavor. And so you want to do it to whatever you feel is right for you. Now I'm just gonna add that in there, and then we'll taste test as we're done. That is a lot. Okay, we'll add a pinch of salt. Do you want to add a pinch of salt? A little bit more? A little bit more. There you go. And then, now, what I like to do to kind of make it a more robust flavor is I add in a little bit of bouillon, which is basically condensed like vegetables and herbs and spices. Now, I use a bouillon called vegetable bouillon by a company called The Organic Gourmet. The reason I like this is because there's nothing that's in there that I don't know. From corns to carrots to spices like nutmeg and lovage leaves. There's no other things in here. So this is a really wonderful one to use. Now you can use anything that you find. This one is by Knorr. This is one somebody gave me in Ethiopia. Do you remember? When we were learning how to make a dish there.
Is that this?
It's the same thing. It's a little different. Now I can't read the ingredients on this, but one of the things that I've noticed with some of these bouillons is that, like, this Knorr one here actually has a lot of sugar in it, and that's something that a lot of companies do to really just increase your sugar intake, make it taste different. It's not necessary. This is why I really like this brand, The Organic Gourmet Vegetable Bouillon. It's organic. There's nothing in it, no preservatives, no additives, no sugar. If you don't have a dried one, you can always use, again, one of these ones in a jar. This one is Better Than Bouillon. Somebody gave this to us. Again, this one tastes nice. The only thing that, I knock it for is that it does have some other preservatives in there, and there's sugar in here, which I think is unnecessary. This is another one that I like, this umami bouillon, which is really beautiful, by a company called Dark Horse Ancient Modern. This one is really wonderful, but it's really smoky and robust, and play with it. I like to make my butternut squash dips really different, and so maybe sometimes I'll use that. I also make my own vegetable broths. Now, how I do this, I have, complex recipes for vegetable broths, and I have simple recipes for vegetable broths. This broth is made from, all the peels that I use at the end of a week, like the ends of the butternut squash. I stick them all into a bag, carrots, peels, and onion peels, and garlic, and all these things. All these things go into this bag, and at the end of the week, I add some spices and I make a broth. And this is what we're going to do to add some liquid to this. Okay, so what we have in here is nutritional yeast, salt, soaked cashews, and some butternut squash. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use half a bouillon cube. I don't need that much. We just want a little bit of a robust flavor. Since I'm using this dried cube, we're going to chop it up a little bit first, and then we'll add it in. So I'm going to give it to you to add in.
Why do you need the sharpest knife in the kitchen?
Well, I needed it to cut the butternut squash, and I'm going to use it to cut the lemon. But I just use it because it's on hand right now for this, right? So we have this. There you go. You want to add that in. And I like to flavor this differently every time I do it. So you can use whatever you want. Actually, you know, what would be nice is that you can try it the first time without any flavoring. And then see what you'd like to add. You could add some traditional spices that are associated with squash. Like, what's this one?
This one is rosemary.
Like rosemary, thyme, sage. You could try mint. I like to add things like curry powder. So this is a curry powder that I made, and it's just a blend of spices like cayenne and paprika and cumin and just various spices. You can buy lots of pre-mixed curries. This one's a vindaloo curry that was given to us. It has ginger, paprika, cayenne, garlic, turmeric, of course. There's always turmeric in a curry powder. This one is a really fun blend, which is very different from a curry. Can you smell that?
Spicy.
It is a little bit spicy. It's called vadouvan, and it's a French Indo spice. There's about 23 spices and herbs in there that make it. So you can do whatever you like. I'm going to add a little bit of curry powder.
Can I add?
Yeah, just shake it in. That's good. And again, you're going to do this according to taste. So do what you are comfortable with. Let's add a tiny bit. Oh, actually, we're going to add a little bit of lemon because, do you want to cut this?
Yeah.
We're going to add a little bit of lemon because we want to have some acidity in there, some brightness. So remember how we hold a knife. We're going to hold it close to the edge over here. We're going to be careful. We're going to put it right there, right? And then go straight down with a, there. It's a big knife, right? Okay, hold it, and then, good job. All right, now do you want to juice? Yeah, do you want to juice this? All right, here you go. So the lemon, again, is just for a little bit of brightness. You can use any citrus. I like lemon, you know, like the same thing you would use in a hummus. All right. Yeah, you can just push it down. I know it's a little tough at first. Now, as you can see, I don't really have amounts that I'm using because I like to cook with my intuition. I like to cook so that we can just have fun with our food. So in this, though, I used half a butternut squash that's been roasted. We used 3/4 cups of soaked cashew nuts. About 2 to 3 tablespoons of the nutritional yeast, which is really good for B12, for lots of vitamins, and it gives you that kind of cheesy-ish flavor. That's good. Now we're not, yeah, that's good for now. And then we're gonna just, yeah, you can put all of that in. That's good. And I added a curry powder for spice and a pinch of salt. And you're going to adjust this according to your needs. So we just added in probably about a tablespoon of lemon juice. So now we're going to give this a mix. And you're going to let it mix until it's nice and soft and smooth and creamy. Now you can use a food processor, you can use a Vitamix, use whatever that you can use that's going to bring this to a smooth, consistent texture. Okay, let's just stop it for a second. Let's just push down the edges and take a little taste. It's going to need a little bit more liquid now. So this is where I'm going to add in some vegetable broth so that it, again, you're going to add, you can use water, you can use this, you can use a broth, you can use a bouillon, you can use whatever you want. The idea is just to give it a little bit of liquid to make it creamy. All right. As you can see, adding a little bit of liquid just gets it to move a little faster. Use this to take a little taste. Really nice. Good. Really good. So we blended this for about 3 minutes, and we tasted it for salt and for spices, and it's a nice creamy smooth texture. Blend it for as long as you need to make sure that you get a nice integrated creamy smooth consistent, oh, I'm so sorry there, dip here. And I'm just placing it into a bowl. Normally I would just take this out and you know, but I'm just doing it here for the video. No, I'm good, thank you. Except for I need to watch your face with the spatula. Sorry about that. Okay, I'll just put that over there. I like to garnish this. You want to put some in with sunflower seeds, pumpkin seeds, and a little bit of dried cranberries. So that's good. A little bit more. There you go. So you can see here, you know, we have one that's garnished with these seeds. You can eat it with plantain chips, with corn chips, whatever you'd like. Let's try some here. The corn chip. Would you like to try one? A little tiny bit? Oh. It's so good because you have the sweetness of the butternut squash. You have these hints of complex spices from the curry powder. You've got the cashews that make it smooth and creamy. It's so good for your body. There's nothing in here that's bad for you. And it's a great snack that you can have at any time of day. Now, I encourage you to, you know, play with these, make them your own. I made one before that I included some jalapenos and some tomatoes, and I made this into more of like a queso. Much better than a normal queso because it doesn't have any cheese, nothing that's going to upset your digestive system. And then on top of it, we're using the squash to really add that nutritional value to our diet. So I hope you enjoyed this video and making this dip. Dips are amazing just to keep around, and when you make them yourself, you can of course buy anything in the store, but when you make them yourself, you don't have any of the preservatives that are in there. I am going to be launching a cooking series in February where we're going to be cooking together. We're going to be making plant-based meals together where you can talk to me and I can talk to you, and we have community, because it's really important that even while we are in shelter in place, and even while we're in these situations where we feel like we may be alone, that we're really surrounded by people and that we're really sharing and loving ourselves and loving each other. And with these plant-based meals, I want to make sure that you are getting the nutritional value that your body needs. I will provide you with substitutions if there are things that you can't eat, like maybe you can't eat cashews. I'll tell you about other nuts. I'll tell you about other things that you can use, or whatever you have on hand in kitchen. And on top of that, we're going to really be learning about, you know, how to play with our food and incorporate more plant-based meals for our regular meal times, because the more plant-based foods we eat, the better our body will thank us. So thank you so much for joining me and Anaya here today and for making this wonderful butternut squash dip, and I hope you have an opportunity to make it yourself. Please like and share this video. Please like this page and keep, you know, stay in touch. Let me know if you made this. Just reach out and let's interact. Thanks.